Explain like I'm 5. Why is Che Guevara such a big name in the revolutionary movement? As the title goes, what's the TLDR of Che Guevara's contributions that made him one of the icons of revolutionaries and freedom fighters? Most answers you have covered the main points. I would also add that he was really a liberator revolutionary at heart. Most other revolutionaries became politicians afterwards, whilst Che Guevara really kept traveling and participating in revolutionary movements around the world. He was a politician for a bit, but that wasn't his defining career, let's say. In short, people like the image of revolutionaries far more than of politicians. In the US, especially pre-internet, he was more of what we call a meme today. He was handsome and had a cool name. And in the US that's 90 of it. It became cool to wear his face on a t-shirt, something that many a college kid did. Because he didn't live long enough to become a villain and he died a martyr's death. He was a leading figure in several Latin American revolutionary movements. Whenever a revolution succeeded, the leaders of the revolution typically became despots. So they aren't fondly remembered even by those who currently sympathize with their ideology and policies. Guevara could have settled down with a cozy cabinet position. But he didn't. Well, he did. But only for a few years. He moved on to the next country to launch a revolution there as well. Eventually he was caught and executed. He died young before it was obvious his revolution didn't produce a utopia. Not saying that Batista United Fruit wasn't worse for Cubans. Governing is hard. But he didn't stick around for that anyway. People like to feel good. When they look at nice pictures or hear nice stories, it makes them happy. Che Guevara was very, very handsome, and so people liked looking at him. And he said some stories that were nice to people around him. So they liked him more. Then someone took a picture of him that was so nice everyone wanted to look at it. Some people liked the picture. And some would think that having the picture is like saying no to bad people. That's how Che Guevara became an icon. Because he was fighting for freedom, peace and equality. And never stopped until he died. Even when he had the chance to become a politician and live a very good peaceful life. He didn't go for that and instead decided to keep fighting for others that were seeking a better life. He was quite successful in his fights, but the fact that he was assassinated by the CIA made him a martyr for everyone to remember. I was impressed by facts such as that when other leaders of the Cuban Revolution were commandeering sports cars from the wealthy, he refused to take part and continued to drive a beat-up old lemon, and his dying words were something like "shoot you coward," which showed he had balls. I believe the original photograph that was used to make the iconic t-shirt was taken by an Irishman. And his grandmother was from Galway like me. When he was killed in Bolivia, the Cuban regime was able to turn him into a martyred Simón Bolívar. A smart, caring doctor in his prime that turned his back on wealth to help those with nothing. Had he lasted another decade, he probably wouldn't be much remembered, and may have even become hated for the excesses done under communist regimes. Because most humans are easily manipulated into cults of personality by charismatic people. Che isn't popular. His graphic is. Most people who wear the t-shirt have no idea what a monster he was. Killing gays, blacks and almost anyone else with abandon. I often take young t-shirt wearers, especially minorities, aside and watching their facial expressions when I explain who and what he was. Romanticism. Plus he died before he enjoyed any sustained period in power, which tends to corrupt most revolutionary leaders. WTF is even revolutionary movement? You mean communism or leftism? Decades of Russian disinformation created the myth that he was more than just another KGB-backed terrorist. That's why Eli, well, if you'd like to know more about Che Guevara, you can easily go to a website called wikipedia.org and type his name in. There, it will enumerate his contributions to the world in an easy-to-read format. And that will answer your exact question thoroughly. Hope that helps. As an Argentinian, I still can't understand why. Only a little bit of research is needed to know the real nature of this genocide. Our governor has been left-wing since ages, and the teachers on the schools indoctrinate the children's. It happened to me and the majority of the PPL. Because he looks like a fucking rock star and lived a pretty wild adventurous life, also died relatively young while leading another revolution. Also, Castro rock star looks, and they were both successful. There's a lot of other successful revolutionaries, but they lack the looks and charisma, so they're not as famous. Only Lenin, Trotsky and Robespierre have similar levels of fame worldwide, and they've led world-changing revolutions.